But I want to start today with some sound, thanks to rightwingwatch.org. If you are not familiar with that website, you damn well should be. They provided me with this, and anybody who wants to go to their website. This guy named Rick Wiles. He is a Christian broadcaster. He is a right-wing conspiracy nutfuck. But I want you to understand, this is a Christian. His followers are Christians. They are Bible-believing, church-going Christians. Now, it would be easy to write this dumb son of a bitch off and just toss him on some shit pile someplace, which is where he belongs, except because his type are all over webcasting and broadcasting now. Except for this. Wiles and his network regularly receive press credentials from the Trump administration to join the White House press corps anytime they want to. Most recently, Wiles, and he has an organization called True News. One word, TRUNEWS, True News. Wiles and his team of Christian psychotics turned up at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, over this past week, where Trump delivered his lies and his bullshit, and where he hobnobbed with a bunch of world leaders to try to make himself feel important. Well, this Rick Wiles and his True News collection of Christian insane people were there also. Now, this is the Rick Wiles who last November, 2 months ago, dedicated an entire program, if that's what you call the slop he puts out, to declaring that the effort to impeach Trump was what he called a Jew coup. I'm going to let you hear it in his words. That will eventually lead to what he calls a purge in which millions of Christians are going to be killed by Jews. Now, whenever I use the N-word on this program, I state that I have been given permission, and I at the same time apologize for the use of the N-word. I usually use it only in context or in quoting some racist piece of shit who is using it in a manner that I would not. So I feel compelled to apologize to my Jewish listeners for the piece of sound that I am about to play, or that Kathy's going to play. It is incredibly offensive, but you have to consider where it's coming from. This is one of Trump's most ardent supporters. He is a Christian preacher broadcaster. So, Kathy, if you will go ahead and hit the play button, and let's listen to this.
That's the way the Jews work. They are deceivers. They plot, they lie, they do whatever they have to do to accomplish their political agenda. This impeach Trump movement is a Jew coup. And the American people better wake up to it really fast, because this thing is moving now towards a vote in the House and then a trial in the Senate. We could have a trial before Christmas. This country could be in civil war at Christmas time.
That's right.
Members of the U.S. military are going to have to take a stand, just like they did in the 1860s with the Civil War. They're going to have to decide, are you fighting for the North or the South? Members of the government are going to have to take a side. Instead of North, South, it's going to be left or right. People are going to be forced, possibly by this Christmas, to take a stand because of this Jew coup in the United States. We have weeks to stop it. That's why I'm speaking out. That's why I'm putting everything on the line, saying this is a coup led by Jews to overthrow the constitutionally elected president of the United States. And it's beyond removing Donald Trump. It's removing you and me. That's what's at the heart of it.
That's right.
You have been taken over by a Jewish cabal, a Bolshevik revolution, and I'm going to tell you, the Church of Jesus Christ, you're next. Get it through your head. They're coming for you. There will be a purge. That's the next thing that happens when Jews take over a country. They kill millions of Christians.
Again, my apologies to people who are offended by that in hearing it. But maybe this, playing that piece of sound, might help, if help is needed. It might help some of my listeners understand why I use the language I do and the fury I do and the repetitiousness that I do where it concerns these right-wing, white, male Christian killers that comprise the brown shirts or the SS of the Trump movement. I believe this. I believe that if Trump, he's been impeached, but if this rotten, slimy, lying bastard Trump were to get a vote in the Senate that removed him from office, he wouldn't leave. And in that moment, I don't know what the number would be, hundreds of thousands of these white, male, heavily armed, Christian, insane people would do anything necessary to keep Trump as president. When he is defeated, if he is defeated in an election this coming November, the same thing will happen. Trump is not going to willingly leave office after one term. It's not going to happen. You do understand that. I hope you understand that. He will say anything, do anything, use any cockamamie story if he's defeated at the polls to explain why he is not going to leave office. The polls were rigged. Remember what he said before the first election of this filthy fucker. Remember what he said? Well, if I lose the election, it'll be because the polls have been the voting has been rigged. He had already made that statement prior to the first election that he and the Russians stole for him. Now, I'll tell you something else that is really weighing heavily on me. It just, it's very scary. And that is, I honestly do believe that we have ahead of us violence on a scale that we haven't known in this country since the 1860s. Just like this filthy piece of shit, this Wiles, this end times broadcaster, Rick Wiles, what he said, you're going to have to choose. The oath keepers and the promise keepers and the gun nuts and the Second Amendment crazy fucks, they've all made it very clear that after Barack Obama, they are never, ever, ever going to run the risk of anything approaching a person of color lead this country again. And if that means keeping a neo-fascist like Trump in office, maybe even the same way that Lenin has been kept in office, so to speak, in the old Soviet Union. Embalm the fucker and put him under glass and let him stay there forever. But it's just a feeling I have, a sense I have, that there is some violence coming to this country that is going to be unspeakably so. You can call it civil war, if you want to use an insane oxymoron like that. You can call it a second revolution, although there is, I don't know what would be revolting, we would be rebelling against, To me, it is a Christian white male fascist takeover. And it's going to be bloody. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.